Gee, lots of letters this week.
Mailbag song, hit it!
Letters, I get letters, so many letters, a whole bunch of letters.
Lots.
It's time for Al's mailbag now.
What do you reckon? Coxie's looking at me. Are we going with this every week? Brett, just remembering the great Fred Stolle, who passed away 12 months ago in Palm Desert, California, aged 86. Fred won 17 Grand Slam doubles, the French, US singles, 3 Davis Cups, had a 50-year career as a commentator. Fred and son Sandon are the only father and son to each win Grand Slam titles. What a career, what a character. We all hope the new TA CEO starts afresh with a clean sheet and a decent AO revenue streams, and that the Board of Directors guide TA's strategic direction and set the goals for management with the CEO reporting directly to the board, as stated in the TA Annual Report 2025, page 32. Well, that normally happens, doesn't it, that the CEO always reports to the board? That's pretty common practice. The 59-page annual report lists many, many tennis activities with a workforce of 695 employed full-time and part-time team members, alongside 199 paid team members in the member state associations. Interestingly, paddle is now recognised as a sport by the Australian Sports Commission, and Tennis Australia is responsible for its growth, but pickleball, not quite there yet, on page 10. Ken in Brisbane always sends some great content into the mailbag. Brett, I'll have to ask someone that is in the know. I signed up for beIN Sports to watch Indian Wells. However, they only started showing the women's matches from Saturday, the second round. They only had the first round men's matches. Now it's Sunday. I was enjoying the women's matches in the morning. However, the evening match, Pegula and Vekic, isn't being shown. However, I've discovered that it's on Stan Sport, so I've had to pay for that now. It seems that Stan only has the WTA, not ATP matches. Are you able to shed any light on what is going on? Will Stan Sport have all the WTA matches this year? Well, they will. Thank you, Helen, from Kensington, for sending that in, and I will communicate with you privately as well, Helen. Yes, they are broadcasting every WTA tournament from the 250 level to the WTA 500s, the 1000s, as well as every match of the WTA finals, Helen, this year. So it's a sub-licensing agreement with beIN Sports. But what I noticed with Miami during the week, so Stam and beIN, there was a 2-hour gap of no WTA tennis. This was the night that Carlos Alcaraz played Joao Fonseca. That was on beforehand, ahead of the Elena Rybakina match on centre court. So if you were going to beIN or Stan, there was no transmission of any of the women's matches going on around the various courts in Miami. And obviously, I don't know 100%, but obviously there'll be some restrictions on what they can show. I mean, I have WTA TV and Tennis TV for the men, so WTA for the women, where basically they'll show just about every court. So I know it's a lot, Helen. I mean, there's a lot to subscribe there and where you're going to get best value, but certainly with beIN and Stam, they're not going to show the quantity of courts that WTA TV and Tennis TV show. I'm keen to ask you out there, how many things do you subscribe to? What do you think is best value for money? That's the state of the game. We know the Grand Slams, I've talked about it a lot, are on free-to-air, Billie Jean, Davis Cup, but the tours, you have to pay subscription services. Now, this one's a little longer, from Ron Green. Dear Brett, recently saw a post regarding your views on the future of tennis, and I offer some comments. Your views are spot on in my view and consistent from feedback I'm hearing. First, a little regarding myself. I am 83 and have been involved in the game since the early 60s as a player at district level, but predominantly as an administrator, serving as president of the SATA, the South Australian Tennis Association, and sitting on the TA Council and Board. My major interests were in major events. I served as the tournament director of the Adelaide event and in junior development. I served as a coordinator of our state squads and later as chair of the MJTA in South Australia. I also sat on the SASI board and served on the Ministerial Board for Sport and Recreation in SA. My time in junior development saw players such as Fitzgerald, Dyke, Carter, Woodford, Cale, Hewitt come through our system. We had little luck with females, but Louise Stacey did win the World Under-12s title, but did not kick on at the tour level. While I'm not involved at the entry level these days, I do continue at their invitation to chew the fat on various issues with officials from the SATA. In my view, the Tennis Australia programs over recent years are failing the game. I think there has been far too much focus on major events to the exclusion of development matters. No doubt Craig Tiley has done a superb job on the AO, but at what cost to the wider game? Also, the United Cup is costing a mozza, but the ratings are not too great, I'm advised. The rankings do not lie. We have few two men in the top 100. Alex is the standout. His formative years were not under the TA banner. We have some good journeymen, but I question if they have the athletic skills to sustain success. This suggests we are missing out on the talent at the entry level. There is a lot of attention on Cruz Hewitt, who we'll talk about a little bit later on, but this is a source of aggravation by others. I note that unlike Leighton, whom I gave several wildcards into events, Cruz is not at a similar level at the same age. Others see this, so maybe more balance in these matters might help to maintain motivation. On the female side, the majority of those in the top 100 did not come through the TA development system. Again, some great tries in Beryl. After watching the recent Adelaide event, the overseas opponents appear to be fitter and have better skills under pressure. Emerson Jones might be the light at the end of the tunnel. I've taken an interest in our local development squads. My gut feel is I cannot see talent that could sustain a career. But the jury is out on that, I concede. In my time, we ran programs in schools, introduced modified tennis, now known as ace tennis. We also pursued a talent identification program based on the then very successful rowing program. I do not see that occurring these days. We are, in my opinion, being overrun by the team-based sports, basketball, netball, soccer, football. Not surprisingly, I guess we are basically social-oriented beings. Further, you need to be in the top 100 to survive in tennis, but most of those team sports provide for the average player to be successful and or make a quid. Yes, tennis is at a disadvantage in the above aspects, but that does not mean we should create opportunities to overcome these disadvantages. That requires vision and leadership that is sadly lacking at the Tennis Australia board level and sadly throughout our administrators. Essentially, they are cruising and accepting mediocrity. For what it's worth, I'm reliably informed that the new president of Tennis Australia has advised the states that the CEO role at TA will not be split. It seems they, the board, consider they have the optimum model. Ron Green in the mailbag tonight. 1300 736 736. One more I'm going to squeeze in. UTR. When did we lose the plot? BP, evening. I know it's an old topic. Feels like a broken record. But it really is getting to me now, this whole UTR thing. When I was a young kid, me and my good mate Warren would jump on our bikes and take the 5 to 10 minute trip through the back streets of Essendon North to get to Doota Gala Tennis Club. Most weeks it was 3 or 4 times straight after school, playing until it got dark. No phones, no messages. The sky told us when we were late for dinner. We played to get better, to compete, to win. We played junior comp, local tournaments during school holidays, eventually senior Saturday tennis. That was the pathway. And when we were taught something simple, losing was okay because you learnt from it. Warren and I were evenly matched. We beat each other as often as we lost. That is where the growth came from. Not from easy wins, but from the tough losses. Stepping outside our comfort zone, going from our home courts at Doota Gala to facing a number 1 seed at a Gladstone Park tournament, that was nerve-wracking. But it made you lift. Even losing 6 to 8 felt like something. It showed you where you needed to be. It made you want to get better. Fast forward 35 years and it's a completely different landscape. Kids still want to win, they still want to improve, but the journey has changed. Now we have a system that scares players away from competition, not just because someone might be better than them, but because they might not win by enough, based on a number. That obsession with UTR has become ridiculous. I recently helped organise a team from Gudagala for a Saturday afternoon comp. Good standard mixed format, just local clubs playing each other. One of our players, Ash, was keen to have a hit. I thought, why not ask her brother to play too? They have not played together in ages. The answer, no. He plays high-level pennant at another club and asked, is it on match centre? UTR counted. I said yes. His response, then I'm not playing. Think about that. This is local tennis, clubs, community, a hit with family, enjoying the game, and yet players are opting out because it might affect their rating. What has become of us? Ratings have a place, sure. Understanding where you sit competitively is useful, but this is different. This is a system driving fear. Fear of losing, fear of not winning convincingly enough, fear of playing at all. There must be a better way, a system that reflects ability without controlling behaviour, one that encourages players to compete, to take risks, to step outside their comfort zone, not one driven by commercial interests or protected numbers, because at the end of the day, tennis has never meant to be about a rating. It was about the match in front of you, the challenge, the growth, and the love of the game. From Aaron, who has sent that in to the mailbag. You can always do it every week, the first serve, sen@gmail.com.